Morning to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I hope you guys are doing good today. This is a gut check time in our nation. You know, years and years and years ago, the men and women of this nation were faced with something that they were unprepared for, that they had to step up into the plate and deal with, and that was World War I. Then they got hit with the next generation coming up later on is World War II. Then, of course, we had Vietnam. Now, each of these times, our nation was faced with challenges that they were not yet necessarily prepared for. People were drafted into the military when these things took place. Were drafted into the military, life changes overnight. And so when we are in a season, and I'll tell you what this season could be considered for most people, this season could be considered what we call a defining moment. Defining moments show up during defining seasons. The true character and nature of who somebody is doesn't show up when things are going great. The true nature and character of what is inside somebody shows up when the heat is on. When Angela and I were first dating and we got engaged, one of the things we thought would be really fascinating to do, we knew a jeweler who owned a jewelry store because Angela managed a wholesale jewelry store when she was 20 years old when we met. And we thought, how cool and romantic would it be if we took my gold jewelry and her gold jewelry and we melted it together and made our wedding rings out of our combined gold jewelry. We thought, oh, isn't that romantic? Let's do that. So that's what we did. So we asked the jeweler, hey, would you be willing to make these rings for us by melting my gold and her gold together? And he said, of course. And he goes, well, Steve, if you want to see how I do it, you're welcome to come to the shop. And we could do it on a Saturday. I thought, that would be pretty interesting. So I went with the jeweler to his shop, brought my gold, brought Angela's gold, because we were so romantic. Let's just melt our stuff together and have rings, our wedding rings made out of our melted gold as a symbol of our life coming together. Remember what that was like? And so as he began the process, he put the gold in this bowl, applied the heat to it, and he goes, now, we can't just walk off while this is being done. He said, we have to watch it, because if we don't watch it, the heat could get so intense. If I don't monitor it, the heat could get so intense. If I don't observe it, the heat could get so intense that we could literally melt all the gold away and it would just dissipate into the air. So we gotta watch it. So we were talking as the gold was heating up, and you could still see a bracelet, you could still see earrings, you could still see a ring. But in a little bit of time, I noticed it started melting and becoming liquid. And I go, oh, that's really cool. And he goes, yes, it is cool. Now, wait for this, watch this. So as we're watching this beautiful gold that is melted down into a liquid gold, and now we don't have our rings and our jewelry, we have one glop of molten gold. As we were watching, the jeweler said, now watch this. And what do you know started to happen? Black, gooky, gross stuff started floating up to the top on the surface. And I said, hold on a second, what is that? He goes, just watch. And the stuff started coming up and floating on the surface of the melted molten gold that we had put in this bowl. And I said, man, what the heck is that? What's going on there, man? What is that? He goes, this is the thing that you don't ever see. He goes, that is called the dross. That is the crappy material that's in gold that separates the pure gold from the other gold, and dross has to be added to create some hardening. But watch what I do now. And he took a little scooper thing and he slid across and he got the dross and threw it out, and he goes, now that gold, that's what's left over. The hotter it gets, the more heat there is, the more crap that comes up on the surface that you could never see before, that you never knew there was before when we were making gold. And that's what I'm going to share with you, my friends, this morning. What crap is coming up on the surface in your life that maybe you didn't know was there before? What crap is coming up on the surface now that the heat is on? Now that there's fear in the nation? Now that there is panic by some in the nation? Now that there is a disruption considered a normal life that we had some sense of control over? What dross in your life is rising to the surface because the heat is on? This is a perfect opportunity for you to take this defining moment in our nation and make it a defining moment for yourself, because, ladies and gentlemen, when the heat is on, what's inside that you might not have known was inside starts to rise to the surface, and it ain't pretty as a general rule of thumb, and it ain't exciting as a general rule of thumb. And the more crap that rises to the surface when the heat is on in your life, the more uncomfortable you can get. Here's what I want to encourage you to consider as a coach. I want you to consider this as a blessing. This is a blessing, because the crap inside you that you did not know was there, that is starting to rise to the surface because the heat, is stuff that you, like the jeweler, can scrape off and get rid of during this season, and it must be replaced with something else. One of my all-time favorite verses in my favorite book, the Bible, is 2 Timothy 1:7, which says this: "For the Lord did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." Are there some people that could use a sense of power again? Are there some people that could use a heart of love again? Are there some people that could use having a sound mind again? Well, that's what God has given you. He didn't give you a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So you see, now get this. This is the point today. When you focus inward, you're going to free your fear. But when you focus outward, you free your faith. See, when you're focused inward, you're just worried about you and yours, and you are concerned. And then, there are some legitimate concerns going on out there. But if you want to get over that real quick, one of the ways you can get over that real quick, my friends, is by focusing outward. When you focus outward, you free your faith, because now you can see other people, you can observe other people, and there are people out there that are in a tougher position than you and I are. There are people out there that might not have a morning coaching session like this. There are people that are out there that are gripped with fear, who are not thinking with a sound mind anymore, who are in panic mode with things that they cannot control, not realizing there are things that they can control. And one of the things you can control, my friends, is your ability to serve another person. Your ability to focus outward frees your faith, because it says, I am going to serve somebody else. I'm going to help somebody else. I'm going to pour into somebody else. Versus focusing inward, which frees your fear. When that fear is free, then it's like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? How's this going to go down? I don't know what's going to do. I don't know what to expect. I don't know. What if I run out of toilet paper? What if we run out of gas? What if we run out of stuff? What if we run out of all of it? And then you focus inward, you free your fears. But when you focus outward, you free your faith. And when you free your faith, you become bigger than you currently are. In defining moments in our nation, there are people who will look inward and get weird. Don't be them. And there are people who will look outward and truly be of value to humankind. This is a defining moment in our nation. The heat is on, and just like the gold tender that took me and Angela's gold to melt it down and to turn it into something that was a combination of what we had together, as that heat was on, the dross or the crap rise to the surface so he could remove it. That way we were left with pure gold. Ladies and gentlemen, the heat's on. The dross is rising to the surface in your life. What's coming out? Don't let it bum you out. Accept it. Deal with it. Realize that you can choose to get rid of that dross, and you can come forth like pure gold. This is a defining moment in our nation. Will you define yourself as one who failed with fear and went inward and became selfish? Or will you show up in this season of our nation's history as one who stood up, rose up, full of faith and service to other people, making the experience better for others? You get to choose. This is your defining moment, ladies and gentlemen. Who are you going to show up as? Who are you going to be? Make sure the choices you make will make your children and your children's children proud of you. Have a great day, guys.